have made their decision. They hired former Ravens offensive coordinator Todd Monken to be their next head coach. Under Monken's tutelage, Lamar Jackson won his second MVP award in 2023. He was a first-team All-Pro, and he finished runner-up in 2024. In Cleveland, Monken will inherit a cluttered quarterback room, including two 2025 draft picks, Shedeur Sanders and Dylan Gabriel. We welcome in all the football guys here. With Todd Monken now hired, 8 of the 10 head coaching vacancies this cycle have been filled. This leaves just 2 remaining openings, the Cardinals and the Raiders. All right, Adam Schefter, we welcome you in on this Thursday morning. Let's empty the notebook a little bit. What are all the tentacles that you're hearing here now that the Browns have hired Todd Monken?
Well, the Browns made their choice, and they did so to elevate their offense. They feel like bringing in Todd Monken will improve their play on the offensive side of football. But by hiring Todd Monken, they created 2 notable issues, one for them and one for the New York Giants. Theirs is on the defensive side of the football, where Jim Schwartz, their defensive coordinator, was a finalist for the head coaching job that went to Monken. And after they chose Monken, Jim Schwartz had a long talk yesterday with the Browns general manager, Andrew Berry. And my understanding is I don't think Jim Schwartz is a happy guy that he didn't get this job. He was bypassed. Just think of anybody in any situation when they don't get the promotion that they're looking for. Are they going to want to stay with that company? Probably not. And so the Browns would love to keep Jim Schwartz and love to pair him with Todd Monken, and they believe he's got 2 years left in his contract. But if you don't want to work and you don't want to fulfill the terms of your contract, you're just not going to show up. So the Browns right now have an issue on the defensive side of the football. The other issue is with the New York Giants, who thought that Todd Monken would be going with John Harbaugh to New York to run the offense, to make life pleasant for Jackson Dart. And now the Giants have got the head coach they wanted in John Harbaugh, but they don't have somebody to run the offense, somebody that they were hoping and planning to have. And now the Giants have gone into a full search mode to go find a new offensive coordinator that they didn't think that they would have to be looking for. And it puts them in a tough position on the offensive side of football. It puts the Browns in a tough position on the defense side of football. And with every move that's made at this time of the year, there's always the ramifications that come from that one move, the ripple effect.
The butterfly effect of it. Hawk, I ask you, what are your thoughts on Todd Monken being the head coach in Cleveland over maybe 35-year-old Nate Schillhouse or Jim Schwartz?
I think it's less of a risk than you go with the very, very young guy, at least from that perspective. When you look at Todd Monken, he's a guy that the Cleveland Browns have familiarity with. He was an OC there. And you look at the issues that they've had over the years. They've always had an incredible defense. So from their thinking, if we're able to somehow keep Coach Schwartz intact, which has done incredible job on the defensive side of the ball, been one of the top defenses, personnel is handled by the front office. We need a guy to stabilize the offense and command a room, right? So when you look at Todd Monken's background in the NFL and places he's been an offensive coordinator and all the years that he's had in those locker rooms, you feel like you have a guy that can command the room and you can stabilize your offense. You can elevate your offense. You can develop your offense. These are the quarterbacks under Monken right here that you're seeing on the screen. And if this was a hire that was made a year ago after Lamar Jackson had back-to-back first-team All-Pro seasons, I feel like the sentiment would be a lot different. I think the Browns are centering in on that. This is a guy they requested early in the process, and so it does not surprise me that ultimately it was who they chose.
Look, this is one of those where every Browns fan was excited with Udinski or Schillhouse. Give us something young, give us something fresh. They get Monken, but he does have a great history with quarterbacks. We look to the quarterback room. Is this a Shedeur Sanders hire in your eyes?
Oh, God, no. No, I would say this. If you're Todd Monken, it's the first and really only time that you're going to be a head coach. You're going to handpick your quarterback. You're going to want to go and if this was the one opportunity that you get, and I don't know when that pick will be made or who, and if it's going to be a free agent or a draft pick, but this is the one shot you get. I'm sure Shedeur is going to factor into the conversation at some point. Ravens were entertaining drafting Shedeur last year. Was Todd Monken a person behind that? All of that. But I can't imagine that this is the first opportunity. You said he's 60? First opportunity that I get.
60 next week.
Okay, 60 next week. This is the first opportunity and likely the only opportunity you get. You're not just going to go all in on a fifth-round pick, at least going into his second year. Todd Monken's a really good coach. He spearheaded the best version of Lamar Jackson we've ever seen. We've seen some really good versions of Lamar Jackson, but the year 2 years ago was great. And for those who don't know, he was the offensive coordinator at Georgia when Georgia was winning their national championships. And I would say this, Kirby Smart in the college football playoff is 4-0 with Todd Monken as his offensive coordinator. He's 1-3 without him. There's other parts attached to that, but that's a fact, okay? So he's a good coach. Yeah. I do think it's safe and comfortable by the ownership and the decision. I also think it weakens your strength. Your strength was defense. Now you have a loss of defensive coordinator. You also have your best player, Myles Garrett, probably sitting there once again going, seriously? Again? We're going to do this all over again?
I'm going to look back to Adam because we're going to go back to the New York side of it here. So Harbaugh gets hired 2 weeks ago. Everyone does a parade all the way down Broadway and everything, and everyone just assumes it's Monken. Monken gets hired. I assume they had some other alternatives in their back pocket, and where are they now in the process of now finding an offensive coordinator?
I would not say that they had alternatives in their back pocket. I think it left them scrambling a little bit here. And I think that when you look at all the names that the Philadelphia Eagles have looked to and brought in and talked to, I think those are some of the names on the New York Giants checklist for offensive coordinator. But it was supposed to just be bring in Todd Monken, insert him, offense running. Now you first got to go find the guy. You got to go through the interview process. They're going to talk to a handful of candidates. And I think as of this morning, they don't have any idea where that offensive coordinator hire is going to come from.
The Ravens, the last time they were looking for an offensive coordinator, I think they interviewed 25 different people before.
The Eagles have interviewed 8 offensive coordinators so far. 8.
Okay.
I would be surprised if the Giants aren't talking to a whole bunch of them in the days to come.
The clock is ticking. The combine is right around the corner.
That's heavy.
Coming up.
Well, they listed him as a limited participant in practice and an estimated practice report. And the fact that he was even listed on there tells you that his shoulder is not entirely right. He went down in the third quarter against the Denver Broncos last week on this play in the AFC Championship game, banged his right shoulder, stayed in the game, finished the game, but clearly hurt his shoulder to some degree. Now, we'll be tracking it here in the next 10 or so days in the build-up to Super Bowl 60, and we'll see how healthy he is on Super Bowl Sunday. I'm sure there'll be ways that they could mitigate that pain on game day itself, but clearly Drake May took a big hit that left some lasting effects from the AFC Championship game.
Yeah, he took quite a bit of hits, and Drake May, he's been using his legs a lot this postseason, more than any QB in franchise history. In just 3 playoff games, he's at 141 yards rushing. Meanwhile, Tom Brady in 41 playoff games has 136. So Drake May is now your all-time leader for the Patriots. Elsewhere in the NFL, the Browns named Todd Monken as their new head coach. Many expected Monken to go along with John Harbaugh and be the Giants' offensive coordinator. So where does New York go from here?
Well, it leaves the Giants in a tough spot. What's interesting right now is there are a handful of teams in the offensive coordinator market. The Philadelphia Eagles are looking for an offensive coordinator. The Baltimore Ravens are looking for an offensive coordinator. And the New York Giants are looking for an offensive coordinator. So you could drive up and down I-95 and interview all 4 of these jobs with all these various franchises, starting in New Jersey, going to Baltimore, then to Philadelphia, or Philadelphia, then Baltimore. So clearly there's a group of teams that need it. The Giants thought they would get Todd Monken, but Todd Monken was always in play in Cleveland for the Browns head coaching job. Once he got that job, it solved the Browns' needs on the offensive side of the football, but it created a need for the Giants to go find a new offensive coordinator, and they've been looking around here the last couple of days, and now we'll launch into that process.
Adam, really appreciate your work as always, brother. Thank you.
Thank you.
The selection process for the Pro Football Hall of Fame is facing plenty of scrutiny after Bill Belichick was not selected as a first ballot Hall of Famer in his first year of eligibility. The head coach behind the Patriots dynasty won 6 Super Bowls in New England. Plenty of reaction from around the NFL, including his former QB1.
I don't understand it. I mean, I was with them every day. If he's not a first ballot Hall of Famer, there's really no coach that should ever be a first ballot Hall of Famer, which is completely ridiculous because people deserve it. And he's incredible. There's no coach I'd rather play for. If I'm picking one coach to go out there to win a Super Bowl, give me one season, I'm taking Bill Belichick. It's the way it works, and that's unfortunately, he's going to get into the Hall of Fame. In the end, I'm not worried about that. We'll all be there to celebrate him when it does happen, and he's going to have a huge turnout from so many players, coaches that appreciated everything that he did and the commitment that he made to winning. and the impact that he had on all our lives.
Patriots owner Robert Kraft released this statement saying, whatever perceptions may exist about any personal differences between Bill and me, I strongly believe Bill Belichick's record and body of work speaks for themselves. As for a head coach of the New England Patriots for more than 2 decades, he set the standard for on-field excellence, preparation, and sustained success. He's the greatest coach of all time, and he unequivocally deserves to be a unanimous first ballot Pro